I'm about ready to record. Hello. Welcome to Story Time with Andrew and Ian. Say hi.
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 Sit up.
Andrew's 9 and Ian's 5. And so we're going to read a book. So we looked through all of these books and we chose Sir Cumference and the Roundabout Battle. Can you guys see this okay? It's kind of glary. The sun.
No.
Sunny out. This whole entire these people who wrote this math adventure, Cindy. Oh, I can't see.
I can't see it.
How do you read her name? How do you say it? Can you see it?
Cindy Neuschwander.
Yeah, something.
Neuschwander? Maybe.
Neuschwander. Oh yeah, that sounds right. She wrote and Wayne Geeham illustrated this whole entire series. Now there's also Sir Cumference and the Dragon of Pi. These are all about, what do you think they're about actually? Circumference and the first round table. Circumference and the Isle of Imiter. Circumference and the Great Knight of Angleland.
Yeah, that one.
Circumference and all the King's Tens. They went crazy writing books, these two. And Circumference and the Sword and the Cone. And I actually even think they have more. I only have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I have 7. Lucky number 7. Well, let's try out this one, Circumference and the Roundabout Battle. I actually don't even think I've read this one yet, so hopefully I'll do a good job at it. And what do you think these books are about, based on the titles?
Circumference.
Circumference. What does circumference have to do with?
So it sounds like circumference, which is how long the outside of a circle is. Right?
Yes, and one of my very favorite kids that's my friend's son, Oliver, he was the only one in his 5th grade class that knew what circumference was. And he did have all of these books growing up because I gave them to him. Okay, this one says, another great harvest day, but wait, who's that? Asked Edmund Rounds, the castle steward. He pointed to a few small tents just visible among the trees. It's possibly travelers bedding down for the night, answered Circumference. Do you see what's going on here? Can you see Ian? Who are these people, do you think? Circumference, right? One of the guys is Circumference. Another guy is Edmund Rounds. He's the one pointing, I think. And then this, you're going to find out later, is Lady Di of Amateur. Diameter. Okay. Just then, the steward's son bounded up the stairway. Ah, Rounds too, keeping track of everything in the castle, asked Circumference with a smile. The boy nodded. Everyone called him Rounds too, since he was his father's.
No.
Wait, what? Since he and his father were both named Edmund. Rounds too. Okay. Papa, I've finished the count you asked for, he said, handing his father 2 scrolls. As the castle's next steward, Rounds too was his father's assistant. Wonderful, exclaimed Steward Rounds. Let's look over during supper. Steward Rounds studied his son's count. He murmured. Breads, 34 wheat loaves, 29 barley, 25 rye. But the total is missing. Totals are important. I love counting, but adding up is always hard for me, Rounds too confessed. Oh, so he's having a hard time counting. Do you see his list? Do you guys think you could add up his list for him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it says we have here's the bread loaves. What they do to get this total here, 88.
They added all the tens up.
Okay.
And then they added all the ones up separately and then added them together.
Nice. And then here it says you have butter pots, garlic, salted herbs, sweet. I want some butter pots. What would the total be here? Do you guys think you could add that up?
100.
How'd you get that so fast?
Because 30 plus 40 is 70, and 10 plus 30 is 30. 10 plus 20 is 30, and 30 plus 40 is 70, and then I already know that 30 plus 70 is 100.
Wow. Okay, well, that's great. Let me help, his father said kindly. It's 34 plus 29 plus 25, which equals 88 loaves. And the butter is 10 garlic pots, 20 salted pots, 30 herb pots, plus 40 sweet pots. 100 pots rounds to, called out quickly. It's easy when the numbers are groups of 10. Oh, so you notice that this one is a lot easier to add than that one, right? Very cool. Yes, the steward agreed. Adding by tens is quite friendly, but most counts are more complicated. As stewards, it's our job to know how much of everything we have in the castle so we won't run out. For example, there are travelers in our woods tonight who might need breakfast tomorrow. But let's go back to our numbers. Next, the steward said, are the bees and their little homes, the skeeps. Do you see the skeeps and the bees? I've never actually heard that before, skeeps. Have you heard that word skeeps before?
No.
This says there are 39 skeeps and rounds two interrupted. The beekeeper said each skeep houses 1,000 bees. But he said not to touch the skeeps. The bees can get angry. What happens when bees get angry, Ian?
They sting you.
Oh no, that's no good. So you don't want to touch them, right? Bees are difficult to count, Stuart Brown said. Sometimes knowing approximately, what does that word approximately mean?
About.
Sometimes knowing approximately how many is fine. But let's finish this up tomorrow, he added, noticing his son was starting to yawn. Flit off to bed now, honey, sweet dreams. Okay, as he nodded off, rounds two decided that he would thank his father for his help by rising early to count the travelers. Then they would know how much food might be needed. Just before dawn, he slipped out of bed and tiptoed through the kitchens and crept out to the secret door in the castle wall. As he entered the woods, he heard deep snoring. What does snoring sound like? Let's hear you guys snore.
I can't do it.
Ian, do you snore? Everyone was asleep. He counted 40 men by the long log. Another 50 were near the campfire. And a group of 60 was stretched out under a massive oak tree. That's how many men? 40, 50, and 60. Do you know how many total?
150.
150 men, you're right. Why so many? Then he noticed a large banner with a distinctive insignia. Do you know what that is? Insignia? Here's the banner.
Like a symbol?
Yeah, it looks like a symbol. Then he noticed a large banner with a distinctive insignia. He also noticed the tiny tents were full of bows and arrows. Uh-oh, he thought. He sprinted back to the castle. What do you think is happening, Ian, if all of these, like 150 guys are camped out with bows and arrows? Why is he so worried? Thoughts? All right, well, we'll see what's going to happen. Papa, he gasped, shaking his father's shoulder urgently. What is his papa doing? Looks like he's sleeping, right? The travelers in the woods, they have a banner with 2 hands clutching a chest of treasure. Isn't that? Steward Rounds sat up straight, rubbing his eyes from sleep. Then he asked Rounds 2 to repeat himself. Then he leaped out of bed and grabbed his son's hand. Where are they running to, do you think? He was sleeping. Do you see the kitty in the picture? Don't you guys have a kitty?
Yeah.
Why isn't he dressed? Look at Ian. Look at the guy, Steward Rounds. What is he wearing? Isn't that his nightgown? Steward Rounds raced through the castle, making his way to Sir Cumference and Lady Di's bedchambers. So they're asleep. The travelers in the woods, they're Sir Lancelot's crew. Steward Rounds cried out. Sir Cumference was up in a flash. Prepared to protect the castle, he ordered. Rounds 2, fetch the bow and arrow count, while your father and I organize the archers. What are they getting ready to do, you guys? What do you think?
Defending the castle.
Yes, Rounds 2 raced to Stuart's room and grabbed the counting scrolls. But then he stopped. The totals. Although Rounds 2 had made the weapons count, he had not added them up. Rounds 2 rushed to the seeking his father's help. But everyone had already left. He decided he must do the adding. Oh no, what do you think he's going to do? He thought back to the counting day. Why can't the number of bows and arrows be friendly, like the 10, like the butter, or approximate numbers like the bees instead of hard to add numbers like the loaves? So look at this, 1,000 bees, and these are just counting by tens, right? Rounds 2 closed his eyes and tried to think. When he opened them, he saw a measuring tape curled in among an arrowhead, feathers, and string. It was lined up with numbers beginning with a 0 and ending with 100. You see the tape measure? Oh, in there, Ian. Something familiar that you know? I see some string. It almost looks like your mom's knitting yarn, doesn't it?
Ian, come here.
Knitting. Rounds 2 grabbed the measuring tape. Did you want to see the yarn? It's on this page too. There it is. Rounds 2 grabbed the measuring tape and started using it to change yesterday's count of loaves of bread into their nearest friendly tens. While the approximate numbers, would the approximate numbers be close to the actual total? He took an arrowhead and placed it on 34. Mark the wheat loaves, or the wheat bread. He could see that the arrow was nearest to the friendly number 30. So he put it on 34, and you notice that it's close to 30. Then he moved the arrowhead to 29, and the number of barley loaves, it was nearest to 30. Finally, he located 25 of rye bread. That was a problem. It's smack in the middle of the friendly number 20 and 30. What would you do with 25? Would you go up to 20 or down to 20 or up to 30, do you think?
Up to 30.
Up to 30. He thought, well, the top line of the number 5 seems to point towards the next 10. So I'll make it bigger. 30 it is. So now he has 3 sets of 30. 30 be? 3
What?
sets of 30? 30 and 30 and 30, 3 sets of 30 would be
90.
90. Is 90 very close to his total, 88?
Yes.
Yes. So this book is all about rounding. You know, when I was in 6th grade, I actually did not do well in rounding. So I should have had this book, huh? Rounds 2, easily added. 30 plus 30 plus 30, that's 90. It's very close to 88 loaves of bread that Papa added up yesterday at supper, he noted happily. Oh, so he's learned to estimate. Rounds 2 decided to add the archery counts in this fast, new, and nearly accurate way. What does that mean if something's nearly accurate?
It means it probably isn't right, but it's really close.
Really close. I like that. Yes, nearly accurate. He looked at his list. Long bows, 47. That's approximately 50, he thought. Crossbows, 1 dozen. That's 12. So I'll make it to a friendly 10. Short bows, 36, or about 40. So 50 plus 10 plus 40. How many bows? 50 plus 10 plus 40 would be,
wait, what?
oh,
50 plus,
50.
100.
100, you're right. He said it's 100 bows. Now for the arrows, he murmured. There are 77 large bow skins. So 77, what would you round that to?
80.
Yes, that's 80. 23 medium, that would be approximately
20.
yes. And 98 small. That's closest to 98 would round to
100.
100. So if we add those up, we have 80 plus 20 plus 100, and that's
200.
200. You see it? 200. He was done very quickly. He looked at his list with satisfaction before sprinting to the main guard tower. There he is at the guard tower with his list and his ink. Anything else you see in the picture? It's a gorgeous picture, isn't it? Somebody really...
Flowers?
Flowers, yes, and bees. Little tiny bees flying around. They attack, announced Sir Cumference grimly. Here, said Round 2 breathlessly, handing the list to his father, who passed it to Sir Cumference. Sir Cumference and Steward Rounds studied the scroll. We don't have very many arrows, said the knight, a worried look on his face. Oh no. Sir Wancelot and his men took aim. Twist, twit, twit. Slender shafts streaked overhead. What's happening, you guys? What do you see in the picture?
The other people are shooting arrows at them.
That's true. I think there's a battle happening. Okay. A castle guard peered through the arrow slit. They're busy as bees down there, he yelled. Busy as bees, thought Round 2. This gave him an idea. He rushed to the rampart, took the skeeps, and pushed them over the wall. What is he doing with those bees? He's like using them as arrows, isn't he? Bees! Eek, he commanded. As each of the 39 skeeps crashed on the ground, 1,000, more or less, bees angrily swarmed out and stung the invaders. Sir Wancelot and his men sprinted away and never returned. How many bees do you think that is? If it's 39 of these skeeps, which I guess is just like a beehive, and there was 1,000 bees in each. How many bees was that?
39,000.
Wow, that was quick math. 39,000. Very nice. That was a lot of bees, exclaimed Sir Cumference. Close to 40,000, said Rounds helpfully. Huzzah, shouted everyone in the castle. Huzzah for Rounds 2. Buzza is more like it, said Sir Cumference with a very heartily laugh. You get it? Buzza, buzza, because of the bees. Rounds 2 continued to use his method of finding friendly tens when he was adding up the daily castle counts. He discovered that taking exact numbers and making them a little less exact gave him time to count and total more each day. As a result, he and his father ran the castle more efficiently, and Stuart named it the Rounds 2 method. Oh, interesting. Today, we still use Rounds 2 idea when we speak of a number and its closest round approximation. We say it rounds to that friendly number. Ah, I see what they did there. Rounds to that friendly number. Here we have bee sting salve. So they made a little ointment because all of these guys, you said when the bees get angry and you touch them, they got stings all over them. Do you see the stings all over his face? Little bee stings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a cute book. So that was Circumference and the Roundabout Battle. What did you think of that story, you guys?
Great.
Great. Thanks for joining me.
Thank